the space race. It was a time of unparalleled technological innovation and fierce competition. The world watched in awe as two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, embarked on a journey that would take humanity beyond the confines of our planet. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, locked in a Cold War rivalry, turned their gazes skyward. This rivalry was not just about earthly dominance, it extended into the cosmos, where each nation sought to outdo the other in a display of technological and ideological superiority. The prize, supremacy in space exploration. This was more than a race to the moon. It was a race to define the future of humanity's presence in space. This wasn't just about launching satellites or rockets, it was about pushing the boundaries of what was possible, about venturing into the unknown and making the impossible possible. It was about national pride, technological prowess, and the pursuit of the unknown. Each successful mission was a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the scientists, engineers, and astronauts who made it possible. The seeds of the space race were sown in the aftermath of World War II. The war had shown the devastating power of advanced technology, and both nations were eager to harness this power for peaceful purposes, as well as for national security. Both the US and the USSR had captured German rocket scientists and technology, remnants of the Nazi V-2 rocket program. These scientists, including the famous Wernher von Braun, brought with them invaluable knowledge and expertise that would become the foundation of their respective space programs. These became the building blocks of their respective space programs. The US established NASA, while the USSR created its own space agency, each pouring vast resources into developing the technology needed to explore space. Each nation saw space as the ultimate frontier, a new battleground for demonstrating their ideological and military superiority. The race to space was not just a scientific endeavor, it was a strategic one, with each side seeking to gain the upper hand. The stakes were incredibly high. The outcome of the space race would not only determine which nation was the most technologically advanced, but also which ideology would dominate the future. Success in space was seen as a measure of national strength and technological advancement. Each successful mission was a victory not just for the nation, but for the ideology it represented. It was also a powerful propaganda tool, a way to demonstrate to the world the superiority of one system over the other. The images of rockets launching and astronauts walking on the moon were broadcast around the globe, inspiring awe and admiration. The space race captured the imagination of people around the globe, inspiring a generation to dream of reaching for the stars. It showed that with determination, ingenuity, and a willingness to take risks, humanity could achieve the extraordinary. The technological advancements made during the space race had far-reaching impacts beyond space exploration. Innovations in materials science, telecommunications, and computer technology, driven by the demands of space travel, found their way into everyday life, transforming industries and improving the quality of life for people around the world. The legacy of the space race continues to influence space exploration today. The spirit of competition and the drive to push the boundaries of what is possible remain at the heart of modern space programs. As we look to the future, the lessons learned from the space race will guide us as we venture further into the cosmos, seeking new frontiers and new opportunities for discovery. Ultimately, the space race was a testament to the indomitable human spirit. It showed that when we set our sights on the stars, there is no limit to what we can achieve. The journey to space is a journey of discovery, not just of the universe, but of our own potential. The year was 1957. It was a time of great tension and competition between the world's superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cold War was in full swing, and both nations were vying for dominance not just on Earth, but in the vast expanse of space. The world watched in awe as a metal sphere, no larger than a beach ball, hurtled through space, defying the boundaries of human achievement. This small, unassuming object was about to make history, its radio signal beeping a message back to Earth, a simple yet profound indication that humanity had taken its first step into the cosmos. The beeping was more than just a sound, it was a symbol of a new era. This was Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite, launched by the Soviet Union. It orbited the Earth every 96 minutes, a silent sentinel in the sky marking the dawn of the space age. It was a moment that would forever change the course of history. The launch of Sputnik 1 was not just a technological triumph, it was a geopolitical statement, a declaration of the Soviet Union's capabilities and ambitions. Sputnik's launch sent shockwaves across the globe, particularly in the United States. The implications were immediate and far-reaching, touching every aspect of society, from politics to education. For the first time, the perception of American technological superiority was shattered. The United States, which had prided itself on being the leader in innovation and science, was suddenly second in the race to space. The Soviets had beaten them to space. This was more than just a scientific achievement. It was a blow to national pride and a challenge to American dominance. The American public was caught off guard, and the government was left scrambling for a response. There was a palpable sense of urgency and a realization that the United States needed to act quickly to catch up. The impact of Sputnik was profound. It was a wake-up call that resonated across the nation, sparking a renewed interest in science and technology. It ignited a sense of urgency in the United States, a realization that they were falling behind in this new space race. The government, educators and scientists all recognized the need for immediate action. The launch of Sputnik served as a wake-up call, leading to increased investment in science education, research and development. Schools across the country began to emphasize math and science, and new programs were created to nurture the next generation of scientists and engineers. It also spurred the creation of NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, in 1958. This new agency was tasked with leading the United States' efforts in space exploration, ensuring that the nation would never again be caught off guard. NASA quickly became a symbol of American ingenuity and determination. The agency's early missions laid the groundwork for future achievements, including the historic Apollo moon landing. The moon landing in 1969 was a direct result of the urgency and innovation sparked by Sputnik. It was a moment of triumph that showcased the incredible progress made in just over a decade. Today, the legacy of Sputnik continues to inspire. The space race it ignited has led to countless advancements in technology and exploration, pushing the boundaries of what humanity can achieve. In the modern era, space exploration has become a collaborative effort, with nations around the world working together to explore the final frontier. The shockwave that began with Sputnik has grown into a global movement, uniting humanity in the quest for knowledge and discovery. The United States was not about to concede defeat. The launch of Sputnik spurred a wave of determination and innovation. The nation poured resources into its fledgling space program, determined to catch up and surpass the Soviet Union. The race was on. Just 4 months after Sputnik, the US successfully launched its own satellite, Explorer 1. While smaller than Sputnik, Explorer 1 carried scientific instruments that made the first important discovery of the space age: the Van Allen radiation belts, rings of charged particles trapped by Earth's magnetic field. The race for space was heating up, extending beyond satellites to the ultimate goal, putting a man in space. The Soviets, however, were one step ahead. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin, a young Soviet cosmonaut, became the first human to orbit the Earth. His accomplishment was a major propaganda victory for the Soviet Union and a further blow to American pride. Section 4. The race to put a man in space. This was not just a technological challenge, but a geopolitical one. A battle of ideologies played out in the vast expanse of space. Yuri Gagarin's historic flight placed immense pressure on the United States. On April 12, 1961, Gagarin became the first human to journey into outer space and complete an orbit of Earth. This monumental achievement by the Soviet Union sent shockwaves around the world. The Soviets had achieved another first, and the pressure to match and then surpass them was palpable. The United States, feeling the weight of this new space race, knew it had to respond swiftly and decisively. The US space program, still in its infancy, had to accelerate its efforts. NASA, the newly formed space agency, was tasked with catching up to the Soviet Union's advancements. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock, driven by the urgency of the moment. On May 5, 1961, just weeks after Gagarin's flight, Alan Shepard became the first American in space. Shepard's mission, known as Freedom 7, was a pivotal moment for the United States. Although his flight was a suborbital hop lasting just 15 minutes, it was a crucial step for the US space program. Shepard's journey took him to an altitude of 116 miles, and he experienced about 5 minutes of weightlessness. It demonstrated that America had the capability to send humans into space. This success was a morale booster for the nation and a clear signal to the world that the United States was a formidable contender in the space race. Shepard's flight was followed by John Glenn's orbital mission in 1962, finally putting the US on par with the Soviets in terms of human spaceflight. Glenn's mission, known as Friendship 7, saw him orbit the Earth 3 times, solidifying America's presence in space. The rivalry, however, was far from over. The space race continued to intensify, with both nations striving to outdo each other in a series of increasingly ambitious projects. Both nations continued to push the boundaries of space exploration, developing more powerful rockets and planning increasingly ambitious missions. The competition spurred rapid advancements in technology and knowledge, leading to milestones such as the development of the Saturn V rocket and the planning of lunar missions. The United States, under President Kennedy's directive, set its sights on the moon. The Apollo program was born with the ambitious goal of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth before the decade was out. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was not idle. They too had lunar ambitions, working on their own lunar landing program and continuing to send probes and cosmonauts into space. The race to put a man in space and beyond was a catalyst for unprecedented technological advancements. It was a time of great innovation, with each success and failure pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The legacy of this era is still felt today. The space race not only led to the first human steps on the moon, but also laid the groundwork for future exploration, including the International Space Station and plans for Mars missions. It was a period that showcased human ingenuity, determination, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Today, as we look back on the race to put a man in space, we see it as a defining chapter in human history. It was a time when 2 superpowers pushed the limits of what was possible, inspiring generations to look to the stars and dream of what lies beyond. Section 5, Kennedy's Challenge, a vision for the moon. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy delivered a speech that would come to define the space race. Speaking to Congress, Kennedy issued a bold challenge: to land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. "We choose to go to the moon," Kennedy declared, "not because it is easy, but because it is hard." His words resonated throughout the nation and the world. It was a challenge that captured the imagination of an entire generation. Kennedy's speech galvanized the American people and provided a clear focus for the US space program. The goal was ambitious, almost unthinkable at the time, but it was a challenge that NASA and the American people were determined to meet.